Just a little bit of stretching sitting down before we stand up. Just sending the hands up. Hands are moving up and down, but the effort is coming from my lower back here and then my belly tightening to pull the hands down. We have to feel both phases as a work phase. I'm working here to push the hands up. And then a sense that they don't want to come down, so I have to tighten my belly to pull them down. And then one hand at a time. Let the spine bend, so let the head tip to the side to get out of the way. So now to pull the hand down, I'm not just tightening the belly, I'm also tightening the stretched muscles on my side. Let the head turn away from the hand as well. I want this real feeling that the arm is coming from my spine, so from my back. Feel the back of the skull. It's like I have two arms coming out of the back of my head. So as I reach up with this hand, it's like a hand coming out and reaching up. You know, like eyes in the back of your head. And then the same thing forwards. First of all, both together. It's like a rowing action. Let the spine really bend to reach forwards, the head looking down. And then just pull the elbows back, twisting the arms. So now you're looking up and your elbows are pulled back as far as possible. Forwards, this is the belly tightening. And then my lower back tightens to contract my back and expand my front. And then one at a time. So you're turning away from the hand that's going out and towards the hand that's coming in. And then the hands together again. Feel the centers, belly, heart, head. And feel the front and the back of each one of them. Normally, when we're going about our daily activities, it's the front of the centers that are active and the back are slumbering. So when we do our internal work, our practice, it just reverses. So we have these under a contained control. This is what ward off is. It's containing the heart so that the back of each one of these centers can feel as though it's opening out and extending into the room. Let's just turn to warm up. So you feel yourself turning, obviously, but we want to become aware of how it's coming from the legs and the feet. The legs pumping and the feet interacting with the ground. Remember, the body only really turns when the two sides of the body, left and right, are doing different things. This is what we want to feel, the real difference between left and right to produce the turn. And then just pausing in riding horse. Feeling the containment. I'm containing my front centers, especially obvious here in the heart because of the arms. But I'm also containing the belly, which is naturally sinking and connecting with the ground because it's my dense part, but also the head, which is naturally reaching upwards a little bit. So you can see it in the shape of the skull. The skull is round at the back. It's like a container. You know, you could make a cup out of your skull. A bowl. Just want to feel the vessel of the hips as well. It's got this sense of being a container. And then feeling the back. The back has like got tentacles that sort of thread out from it. Back of the heart and the back of the head. But let's just try the two circle exercise with that feeling, the feeling that you're sending the hand back and just pulling a tentacle around. Feel the turn coming from this alternating action of the legs. My two legs are cooperating to produce this smooth turn. It's not a bossy mind that's told my body to turn. And the same thing for the legs, using the hands again to help the visualization. Feeling that something has come out of this sacroiliac, this joint here beside the sacrum, and has reached down the leg and then come back up into the dantian. You're using your hands to trace the imagined path of energy. Something in my mind has to clarify and tighten up in order to see the image, see the pathway, see the tentacle. But then another part of my mind has to relax to allow the energy to flow along that path. So it's like I'm opening up, I'm relaxing, 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 opening up this pathway. And then the same thing for the head. So this is more difficult because the head doesn't really have a natural set of limbs. So the arms obviously belong to the heart and the legs to the dantian. Here we get a sense of there being this possibility of two different things happening either side by loosening the jaw. So there's a feeling that your jaw sort of shifts from side to side. So I'm pulling something out of this side of my head, bringing this around. So the jaw and the eyes. So something loosens in the jaw. So imagine you have a monk's cowl pulled up over your head, and here you're just pulling each side, hiding inside the cowl. So the front aspect of the center is contained and retracting, and the back is opening up and being drawn around. So the front part becomes wrapped up in the back. You can also think of the back of the center issuing and the front of the center receiving. So something's coming out of my back head here, and then it's coming around and being sucked into this front point. It's the same with all of them. Riding horse again, just feeling the centers, the front centers. They're active, but they're really contained. And now full and empty, moving from leg to leg. I remember it's like two glasses. I have an empty glass and a full glass. If I tip the full glass into the empty glass, then the full glass empties down. So the water pours down out of the full glass, but the empty glass fills up. It fills from the bottom. This is what we want to feel here. So I come into a leg and I fill from the ground, and the other leg empties down. One leg filling from the ground, the other one emptying from the hip. So the arm and the leg are doing the same thing. So one leg and arm is straightening, the other leg and arm is bending. The bending leg is filling, the straightening leg is emptying. I want to feel this sense that strength is filling up from the ground to support me, which enables this one just to release and let go of all of its strength, which flows down into the ground. One leg is bending, filling, the other leg is straightening, emptying. The empty leg has to start bending just fractionally before the full leg starts emptying. Otherwise, there'll be a point where I just don't really have anything to keep me up. One leg is gathering strength, and the difficulty is letting go of that. So it's the difficulty really is the emptying leg, because we always want to hold on to a little bit. So here I have to really feel this is flushed out before I then start filling again. And it will hold on in the joints, but especially here in the sacroiliac. Part of my mind is with the filling, part of my mind is with the emptying. What makes it difficult is just keeping those two aspects of mind slightly separate. So I don't have a controlling aspect. There's no part of my mind that's holding everything together and controlling it. That would be ego. I have a part of my mind that's endlessly scanning the system to make sure that it's always equilibrating. But that's very different than this bossy controller that's giving orders. And then just bringing it back. Now, the same thing really, but using it to turn. We were doing it when we did this exercise here. This is what we were doing with the legs. Now we just want to look at it. So I straighten this leg to push myself around. And I keep straightening it until it's almost completely straight. And then I bend it and it will pull me back to the front. And then I straighten this leg. And then bend it. So this is how we turn, by straightening the back leg. And what's important here is that we keep the bottom of the spine open. If I want to apply force, then I need a hard surface which I can push against in order to generate a force in a certain direction. So in a sense, you're like a tube then where one end is closed. You know, my foot would be closed because that's the hard ground. And then I push by straightening my leg. And if I'm using energy, this is the basic difference between energy and force. So if it's energy, both ends have to remain open. So when I turn here and I push, I'm not pushing the ground. I'm not straightening my leg in order to produce an impetus in the opposite direction to the pushing of the leg. I'm releasing down the leg, the sense that something here is staying open. And then you get a real sense that when you've turned to your maximum here, the back leg is just your tail. It's the extension of your spine down into the ground. And then we pull back with that. And then the other one. So a sense that something is really flowing out of the base of your spine and down the leg. Pushing the leg in order to produce a turn, but all the time I'm releasing down the leg. So it's not my controlling mind using force to produce an effect. It's my spirit mobilizing the energy. So when you're using spirit, there's always a sense that you're becoming something different, you're changing. I'm becoming fierce. And then I become all soft and yielding to pull it back, and then I can become fierce again. This is what I call like an emotional change. There's just yield and attack. So here, the real sense that I'm attacking, something is wanting to come out of me. Unless I can get this sense of release here, I won't be able to get a sense of release the other end of the tube. It would have to be force I was using. Something's extending out of me, and then when I pull back, it just retracts. It's like something sucks back in, and now again something extends out, and then something sucks back in. And the same thing has to happen both ends. So here, to get something extending out here, I have to be extending into the ground from my spine. And then if I want this to attract back in, then I have to retract it in here as well. And that will pull me round because I'm stuck to the ground. Opening, this is all front heart. And then this is retracting that and becoming all back. We want to make sure that we are going through those range of feelings. So I am going from real lively, awake fierceness to this sort of soft, containing, enveloping. Revealed and then concealed. Bring it back. Now let's just try some of these. We've been doing these. Just making a little ball. So they visualize the yin-yang symbol. But really it's like a three-dimensional yin-yang. So there's a real sense that you're actually massaging a ball here, not just a circle. And it's just opposite your Dan Chen. And then just bringing it up to the heart. Same exercise, but it feels quite different. Each of the centers feels really different. And then the head point. Then just the torso. So this is sort of coming as high as the top heart and as low as the Dan Chen. Again, it's three-dimensional. It's a ball. It's not just a circle. And feel the turning, because we're doing opposite things with each side of the body. It will always produce a turn. Doesn't matter whether it goes this way or whether it goes this way. We just want to feel the turn. If it's not turning, then somehow you've inhibited it. And then coming up to the head. So what we're trying to do here is basically contain the whole body. So one hand is imagining that it's scooping underneath the foot as the other hand comes up over the head. I'm producing a sphere that I'm inside, and it's quite a tight fit. Both arms independent a little bit, so they're not locked into this machine. One hand is really having to feel the going down under, as the other hand is really having to feel the coming up over. They're two different separate activities that happen to be happening together. And then back into. And now a little bit of the tree. We're going down the spine, splitting at the sacrum, down the legs, reaching into the ground and then sucking it up, and then reaching up, down the arms into the sky and drawing something down. The important thing here is not to bend forwards too much with the back. Try and get it to be the legs that are bending to take you down. The two arms are not quite in phase. They're slipping in and out all the time. So there's always a wriggle going on in the spine. Good. And then just and now stepping. Let's just move side to side again. So remember what we do. We straighten the leg and then we bend the leg. Straighten the leg and then bend the leg. The bending of the leg starts the weight moving, and the straightening of the leg completes the weight moving. Bend straighten, bend, straighten. So here I want to feel the straightening of the leg really driving me into this leg. So it's driving me down, but also it's really pushing me into the outside edge. Without that leg straightening, I can't complete the process of putting my weight completely into the leg. So when I sink into the leg, I don't want to just sink on top of the leg. I want to sink through the leg and into the ground. So the pushing of this leg, the straightening of the leg drives me down, and then this leg can just pop up. Bend the leg, and then this leg straightens, and that pushes me down, and then this leg can come up. I straighten the leg to step, bend the leg to pull my weight across, straighten this leg to drive everything into this foot, and then that foot can pop up. We just want to be very clear and strict in our stepping. So we're not ever falling into a foot. I put this foot down and then I pull with it. I straighten this leg, drives me into this leg, and then this leg can just pop up. I don't have to suddenly put it down to stop myself from falling. If I want to sink, if I want to remain sunk, then it's my straightening leg that sinks me. My bending leg just allows gravity to take me down, but it won't really bring me into the ground. For that, I have to really straighten this leg to drive me down. This is what we want to feel and appreciate. Sinking is not just relaxing and releasing to gravity. There's a real work going on in the leg, in the straightening leg, to drive you down into the bent leg. Bending this leg, and then this leg is really straightening. That gets me into the ground. And then this foot can come up. So as I straighten the leg, it drives me down, and something happens here in the lower back. This is where I lose the lordosis in the lower back. If you have the lordosis in the lower back, it is basically separating your heart and your dantian. There's a sense that your dantian is wanting to tip down and your heart is wanting to rise up. So when I drive with the leg here, I'm pushing down, but it's like my heart and my dantian are moving towards each other. And that irons out the kink here and really lets me get down into the ground. I pull and then I drive down. So I'm not just sinking. I'm not simply getting closer to the ground. I'm actually getting smaller. This is the sense I'm becoming really round and contained. Feel the spirit. When you get it right, whatever it is in Tai Chi, the spirit will be activated. And what that means is that there's a sense that it's become a little bit wild and crazy. It's no longer civilized and cultured and contained. In a sense, it's like the opposite of Chen Manqing. Chen Manqing was very sort of Confucianist, very much the master of the five excellences, the rounded, cultured professor. This is very much to do with just being wild, like the wild man. Becoming so spirited, you're totally unpredictable and crazy, straightening the leg and so in one sense, the straightening leg drives me down into this foot, but in another sense, it really opens up a hole so that the ground can just come bubbling up into me, like a geyser or a volcano. Straighten the leg, it drives me down and sucks the ground up. And I have to feel what needs to happen in my spirit to allow that. I have to give it permission because we have learned so well to block out spirit. Drive and something will come up. So I would try to penetrate through skins all the time to get to the inside. Bring it back. So this is so important. So each practice session, in a sense, you're just struggling to wake up your spirit. And when you do, then you just go somewhere that you've never been before, or you find out something you've never known before. There's a real sense of discovery. So very much the opposite of just repeating the same old thing, just going through the motions. Often you have to start like that. You need to continue enough for something just to start waking up and taking you somewhere that's unexpected. That's what the teacher has to wake up in you. That's what they call the transmission. The teacher basically teaches you how to practice correctly. It's not so important what you're actually practicing. The important thing is to practice and allow the practice to wake up the spirit, wake up your wildness, your craziness. You know, nowadays that's the last thing people want. You know, which is why, you know, there's such a prevalence now of depression. Depression is like the opposite of craziness, you know. So you reach that point where the spirit's about to come up. You've got a choice. You can either go with it and become totally impassioned and enthused, or you can say, no, I don't have the energy. I can't be bothered. And then that leads to depression. For me, that's the basic choice we're having to make all the time. We're making a choice between madness and depression. And the vast majority choose depression. It's like, you know, the samurai, they had this thing, if you're presented with the choice between life and death, always choose death. It's like just letting go. So in order to let the spirit come in and just take over, you have to relinquish control. Your ego has to be willing just to take a back seat. Okay, let's just bring it up. And now just a little bit of this one. Feel that slipping side to side. It's the two sides of the body doing opposite things. One side, the energy is rising. The other side, the energy is sinking. That is forcing a turn. And this sort of snaky threading through the body, which is so healthy. It's very healthy for the spine because it keeps the spine supple and sexy. So the spine transmits energy. Energy can wriggle up the spine and it can sink down the spine at the same time. So as with everything, it becomes the figure of eight exercise, but a real sense of these two figures of eights are inside my spine. The one's wriggling up, ooh, and the other one's slipping down. And then just allow it to subside.